This is Colin Digits. I'm here live in the DigitsClub. And today we have a really interesting AMA with TrustFi. Robert, thank you so much for being here, taking the time out of your day to educate us a lot more than just the Launchpad. Could we start perhaps by giving a short introduction about who you are and what you guys do at TrustFi?
Of course. So who am I? I am Robert Kripp. Of course, it's an alias. So I work for TrustFi as an operations manager and business developer, basically. So I have joined in January. However, TrustFi had its token listing in June last year, I think. So the project is a bit older than a year right now. So what we do is, let me talk a bit about our vision. So TrustFi network is, as you said, not just a launchpad. Actually, the main business we do is providing infrastructure and networking solutions to early stage projects. However, as most of you know, launchpad business tends to dominate the brand image and the rest of the business as well. So the vision of TrustFi network is to be able to provide all the necessary resources and nourishment early stage projects may require during the time where they establish their sustainability. So we value the DeFi builders, we value the projects that continuously strive for innovation and creating the much needed tools for DeFi environment so that we can have a safer and generally adopted decentralized finance in the future. So TrustFi was made out of such a need as well. So we do this, let me say, nourishment through three of our products, right? So first is TrustFi Booster. TrustFi Booster was an incubator actually, but we have reworked it as an INO platform because of the changing trends. Most of the play to earn and GameFi projects and even the SocialFi purely Web3 projects, they utilize NFTs now. So Booster has been reworked as an INO platform and will be online in a week or two, I think. Launchpad part, we have a standard staking system where we allow our stakers and our own community to get much needed awareness about projects, and then they can participate in the fundraise processes as well. And the last one, TrustFi Farmer, this is our infrastructure service. It is called blockchain as a service solution, as a more commonly used jargon. So through Farmer, we allow early stage or late stage projects, it doesn't matter, but you will see that it offers different sets of values for different projects of different stages. So what Farmer does is we provide staking technology infrastructure in a fully Web3 basis, basically. So the vision is to be able to provide diversification and nourishment the early stage DeFi builders may require through these sort of closed chain value creation system, right? So, all right. So let me talk a bit about the team background then before we jump into the into the products themselves.
Yeah.
So TrustFi was launched by Joseph Cheung. He is our CEO, and he has been an angel investor in the blockchain business for 5 years now. So he is kind of like a DeFi romantic. He likes to, understand the needs in the market, and he likes to create efficient solutions for them. So that is why he has some other products in development as well, where he is advising or founding, which if we have time at the end of this session, I may get to as well, because those will be our, sister projects. And those are projects that offer a lot of new and innovative value, in my opinion. So if you have time, and if I forget, please remind me to come back to them as well. Yeah, I am the operations manager. We have Salim Can. Salim Can is our front-end developer and lead designer. We have a developer team of 7 people with an average experience of 2 years in the blockchain development segment. And we have 2 researchers and content creators, Rosa and Astrid, right? In addition to that, we have Christopher, head of community management. We have some 5 to 10 community managers right now, 5 being fully active, and the
Right.
other 5 working on KPM basis, as you may guess. So yeah, let me jump into the products then. The first product I will talk about is LaunchPad. In the LaunchPad, we have a pretty standard staking system where we truncate people based on the amount of TFI they stake, and then they get a proportionate amount of potential investment allocations in the IDO. And I will not bore you guys with this system too much because, as I said, it is pretty standard. So in addition to the tiers, we have an NFT. This NFT was sold 3 months ago as the first round. We sold 40 out of 200, and we will continue the sale when we activate our INO platform. INO meaning initial NFT offering. So what this NFT does is it allows people to gain allocation rights, basically just as if they had a staking tier. It also allows them to participate in the revenue sharing program of the products that we have, which is always a dynamic process because we are constantly adding features to products and new revenue creation ways. So this is a bit promising on that side. And we also offer some other benefits such as monthly airdrops, some FCFS, increased FCFS allocations.
And which tier would you get if you have this NFT?
So the regular allocations would be similar that of dolphins.
Okay.
Yeah, that is because this is a huge investment, but at the same time the benefits actually outweigh the IDO allocations because.
And when you say huge investment, what kind of amount are we looking at?
Okay, so when this was first sold, it was sold for 20,000 TrustFi tokens, which was then $2,000. Right
okay,
now,
that's
the price.
still reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is a huge investment for the, let me say, the average IDO participant
For sure.
in the market right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
But as I said, it allows people to enjoy $15 to $20 monthly airdrops. They get to share as a whole 10% of all of the farmer revenues, which I will come back to in a minute. So we have some ways to let the community participate in a much deeper level. We are also working on a DAO structure as well, so that our token will also have actual voting power. Of course, right now they do have the voting power, but that is in practice, right? We will implement a working DAO structure in the near future as well.
Right. Yeah, makes sense.
So main types of sales that we do is, again, as standard, we do community raises for private and seed rounds if there is demand on our community, and we hold them in the IDO style, meaning that we gather the fundraise and we wait for the TG and then the fund transfer occurs because TrustFi LaunchPad is an insured launchpad, as you may have read, meaning that there are some certain conditions where we trigger a refund policy so that we can apply these policies to these pre-IDO stages. We hold only the IDO style pre-sales, basically.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, in that regard, when we have early stage sales, we like to make sure that our community is well aware of what is happening, because as you may know, the pre-IDO stages have cheaper prices and longer vesting, which are not designed for end users normally. But due to the lower demand in the segment lately, especially in the last 3 months, the projects have been monetizing the pre-IDO stage tokens to the end users as well. So this is the solution that we have come up with, so that we can, protect the rights of our users. Because
yeah, and I mean it's beneficial for everybody involved, right? Ultimately, yes. As long as the project keeps their promise, then it's all good.
It used to be that for private investments, I mean, some launchpads, including us, we used to invest in a project and then sell some of the tokens to the community if they demand. For example, for DeFi yield, we did that. But right now, the market structure severely shifted and the IDO is not the same anymore compared to what it was 6 months ago. So that is why this business is really dynamic in terms of trends, in terms of expectations, in terms of the security measures that you have to implement.
So apart from the security, what are other things that you guys have picked up now the trends have changed, let's just say, into a more bearish environment?
So for the Launchpad side, first of all, we support multi-chain environment. We support in the Farmer, in the DeFi product, we support all of the Ethereum-based networks. However, in the Launchpad, since we do airdrops instead of claim buttons, we can support pretty much any chain that we want. So that is another point of diversification for our business and for our user base as well. So what we picked up. So let me talk about our recent strategic positioning, if that is okay with you too. So as I said, then first, let me talk about the recent changes, about what TrustFi did, what our community is experiencing. So for that, so TrustFi has a, let me say, global community structure. This is a new and weird jargon from business. It means global but local. Basically, we have some local and language focus groups, including Turkish, Portuguese speaking, Russian speaking, Vietnamese, Chinese, Korean, and some other minor communities as well. So major communities that we have is our main community is Turkish. 90% of our IDO participants are Turkish right now, and the largest other communities are Indonesian, Vietnamese, and Portuguese speaking groups. So based on that, in addition to the demand that's declined towards the IDOs in sector-wise, Turkey is experiencing hyperinflation, which may have a drastic impact on our exposure. However, Turkey is still one of the largest blockchain markets, which is, which creates an interesting situation because we have to, take some measures for it. Right now, we are not experiencing the effects of the Turkish economic decline in our Launchpad because, first of all, our revenue structure, Launchpad revenues are not significant for us. Basically, Launchpad is a complementary product that works without any expectation for profitability. So Launchpad fees cover AMAs, they cover marketing, they cover the labor cost on our side, and that is only to support the project's flourish, basically, because Launchpad business, it is hard to, let me say, manage completely honestly. There is some parts you have to bluff a lot, and that is a bit in the opposite direction of what TrustFi stands for. That is why we like to keep an honest Launchpad business, and that comes to what I was going to say. So due to the decline and due to the additional risk that I talked about, what we do is we offer small allocation tickets to projects like 20K, for example. That we are sure we can fill. That why we offer that and why limit our Launchpad fees, right? We do that because, as I said, those fees, they are not for the TrustFi sustainability and profit. They are for the labor fees and other fees coverage. We also do not want to damage anyone's fundraising potential, because what I see in the scene a lot is some small Launchpads that I know of, they keep taking $100,000 allocation sizes, right? And then the projects, they apply to so many Launchpads. I'm sure they do not have time to study them in each individually. They should, but they don't. That is another problem with the whole deal flow right now. Yeah. So that I see a lot of failures and disappointment on that end, because think about it, we are gonna list, and one of the Launchpads you agreed with, they raised $80,000 short, right? It kills all your plans. So that is why our strategic positioning evolved into offering a small allocation ticket, and in return we provide all the nourishment, all the support, all the marketing, and all the infrastructure needs they may have. We provide this with two focus in mind. The focus being diversification. First, we offer, due to the community structure that I explained, we offer user demographics diversification, which has incredible benefits in my opinion, because as we talked before, IDO participants base is not does not have such a diverse demographics, because if you take a closer look, you will see that third world countries make the majority, right? Because the welfare is low and people are more inclined to take these high risk opportunities to get financial welfare. And in Europe and in US, the blockchain adoption is based more on the usage. But in these third world countries, the blockchain adoption is based on the hope of getting rich, unfortunately. So that is why we believe, even because the set of people you get IDO participants from is has such a limited, demographic structure. We believe that we can at least, increase the diversification and exposure within that set as much as we can.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Looking at, I mean, like the third world countries, can't really blame them for their perspective, right? I mean,
Of course.
it's very much natural, but I do think
Yes.
it helps, right? It does support the Web3 dream, because they would
Yes.
obviously get a lot of opportunities that they might otherwise not get.
Yes. I mean, the unfortunate part was the markets selling them hope, not their own behavior, of
Sure.
course.
Yes.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because, in such a market where people are ignorant, and this is not an insult, when you first enter into a new realm, you are ignorant of it.
Sure. Yeah, in everything that we do.
Yeah, when the ignorance fuels the activity, it makes it so that most of the players in the market benefit from introducing noise instead of signal. So that is some problem that baby markets are doomed to experience, and it will
Exploiting
be
opportunities that way.
Yeah, it also creates a lot of opportunities for business development, because establishing prestige, it will be a huge problem in Web3. Not problem, but let's say an aspect. You already see a lot of different ways of KYCing. You already see a diminishing, let me say, interest in anonymous teams, because people realize that all they have is prestige. You do not know what the project will be based on white papers, based on documents. It is very hard to, have that fundamental analysis, the intuition about the project's value right now, unless they are, obviously great, if you know what I mean. But other than that, due to the extra noise introduced, especially in the IDO stage projects, because most projects benefit immensely from bluffing. If you bluff, good, you can get CDFI to launch you, and that creates a great start for your project. So that is also not a crime on the project side. That is how the things work. So that is one of the needs that, for example, one of the projects our CEO is incubating, founding right now, is addressing that they will allow users to create smart safts, meaning that you can go and have your launchpad in your own space, even if you are a small, KOL, even if you want to have a launchpad with your own investor friends. By launchpad, of course, I mean the technology, because the claimer, the smart saft, will allow people to, it is all automated on the blockchain, on the smart contract. It will allow people to get their money back if the conditions are not met by any of the parties. And the whole process is trackable in a very nice UI. So I think that will be, one of those tools that allow people to establish prestige. So yeah, the measure we have against this, what we do against this, is that we always 100% stay honest about how much we can raise, about what are the potential risks that this project may face if we have high allocation. But in return for that, we provide a lot of ways of diversification. And the first point of diversification I talked about was the user demographics. And second point, I will have to talk a bit about Farmer. And please stop me if I go too fast.
No, I think that the farming is the interesting part. We're very familiar with the launchpad model, right? So far, everything makes a lot of sense. And I do understand why it's called TrustFi. You seem like a very knowledgeable but extremely transparent person. The way how you describe it, it's like the opposite of the Moon Boy launchpads, right?
Okay.
So
Yes.
very, very interesting. But yeah,
Yes.
please elaborate on these farms, because that's one thing I do understand, that if you would offer the farms, it supports the launchpad, it would support basically the whole incubation. But for the
Yes.
user, it's obviously fruitful. Otherwise, you wouldn't have that many.
Mhm, mhm. So yeah, thank you for the observation, by the way. So we have a culture. I'm not going to say corporate culture, because we are not a large company right now. But we have a culture that is shared among our people. That, for example, me, I want to be able to sell my product without lying. So that is the most basic requirements I want from my job, and I see that we all share this, and I hope that it is easily seen from outside, because
Very much so.
yeah, as thank you, that makes me happy. So let me get back to Farmer. So what Farmer is, let me talk a bit about that first. So Farmer is, it works based on the automated farm pools algorithm, an algorithm created by our developer team last year. So this platform allows anyone to come and create pools here. So uh, in the beginning, we wanted to be able to, offer this service to everyone, not only be business to business, but anyone can, create any type of pool they want here. But as you may guess, it has some security problems, and someone can come and create a pool here with a harmful token contract. So we had to cut on that part for now, until we figure out a good way to, establish an efficient way to establish, security. um, right now, we only offer DeFi spaces, not singular pools, but DeFi spaces. So our partners and clients, they can come and create these DeFi spaces here, which they own permanently. And within these spaces, they have 100% sovereignty, meaning that they do not require any permission from us. We are not included as a third party in any of the transactions. Only
Okay.
just that TrustFi Farmer takes 20% of all unstaking fees that incur in the spaces, and which is then shared with referrers, NFT owners, and uh, deployed into the TrustFi vaults, basically. So what type of pools can these people create in these spaces? First is, of course, the single asset staking pool. Single asset staking pool allow projects to motivate people to become long-term holders, as well as um, let me say, log circulating supply, which has significant impact on price performance, especially in the first days, weeks, especially even months of a newly listed project, right? So second kind of pool they can create is LP staking pools. So LP staking pools, there are many conditions, there are many scenarios where projects want to incentivize users to add LPs. So this allows for a new way of different way of liquidity management as well. And the third pool, which is ready to deploy, but it is not deployed yet, we will be supporting NFT staking pools, which is the most innovative feature of the platform right now. So by having a space here, any project, any partner, any IDO clients of ours, they can come and create NFT staking pools, as I said, which will be we expect to face huge demand, because the newly trends think about it, the play to earn, move to earn, and socialify, Web3 implementations of various kinds, they almost always utilize NFTs. And NFTs are not
Yeah.
like they do not belong to a segment, but they're another DeFi tool at this point for this business as well. So we expect huge demand for that, and we are happy, very happy that we will be, allowing new projects to make use of that,
And
because
in all
as you may
three of the
know,
pools, they
yes,
would have APR attached to it, also the NFTs.
yes, but
Okay.
these parts are let me say this. So this platform is new right now. It has been 3 months, I think, and the last month has been a bit silent, because we have 5 to 10 agreed projects here, but they are waiting for listing. They are delaying listing. That is why the growth seems silent, but we are working, on the background for the business development part. However, we also expect, let me say, that this to be, we are building TrustFi Farmer to be a DeFi hub, a large DeFi hub, and we have reworked the UI and UX, and we are working on adding new features that will help us accommodate 100 spaces here by the end of the year. So as of now, right now, you do not have, many tools to browse, many different
Yeah, no,
ways
I
to
mean, like
explore.
there's like almost a double dozen there.
Mhm.
How does the monetization? You said TrustFi yields 20% of unstaking fees. I'm not into DeFi at all, right? I know how it works, but it's not really my thing.
Mhm.
What kind of yield are you looking at? Like, I don't know, it's like only if you do any early unstaking, then they would charge a fee, or is there always like an unstaking fee applied?
No, it is for early unstaking and it is fully optional. If a project doesn't want to implement unstaking fees, there is no unstaking fees and we do not take any profits. So for the payment structure,
Do
basically we
you
take,
guys charge the projects money to host the pools at all or not?
we charge one-time space creation.
One
And
time creation?
yeah, for the
Okay.
creation of these spaces, we charge a one-time fee, which is hugely discounted for our IDO partners, of course.
Of
We
course.
actually just ended the first promotion phase where it was fully free for IDO partners. And right now it is still discounted, but this is the second promotion stage where I still believe this is fully discounted because let me say, this is the most basic benefit of the platform, right? It allows especially new projects, small funding projects, small cap projects to eliminate a lot of spending related to developers, right? Eliminate a
Hmm.
lot of time requirements, a lot of uncertainty and stress with the implementation and testing. And on top of that, which is the most significant, they get to eliminate the audit costs because audit costs, they are much larger for DeFi products than they are for the token contracts because of the line counts. So in my opinion, by using this product, a new project can save up at $20,000 easy. Right now, the space creation fee is $5,000 for clients, $3,000 for IDO partners. And
Interesting.
after that, we have 20% of the unstaking fees incurring that are automatically transferring to TrustFi vaults, which will be managed by the DAO structure basically in the future. But I can say that 10% of all the revenues are being shared. We will start in July, I think, are being shared with NFT owners as well. And the NFT sale will begin in July as well. Again, it
Yeah,
has
that
200
makes sense.
supply. We sold 40 and we will do the second sale stage. Yes.
So if the launchpad doesn't make significant money, and then this farm setup is still being generated, where is the main funding for TrustFi coming from in this case?
The main funding is space creation fees and the unstaking fees incurring in these spaces. Unstaking fees, it is very counterintuitive. I couldn't fully grasp it as well, but those are very significant.
Yeah.
People change decisions all the time, apparently. Yes.
And like, what would like an unstaking fee look like? Is it like between 1% and 2%, something like this, of the total amount
Oh,
staked?
it is fully optional and depends on the creator. For example, in here, ScoreFam created an unstaking fee structure for 25%
Oh,
for the
damn.
first 10 days. These, interestingly, these unstaking fees, they do not have a standard in the DeFi world right now. I
Okay.
believe 25% out of the initial investment is too much. But then this is the
Yeah.
standard kind of, and people are okay with it, apparently. And due to the high
Well, I mean, like
volatility of the market.
320% APR is also a little bit crazy.
Yes. Yeah.
A little bit
Yeah.
very much on the high end. I don't know
Yeah.
how a project would be able to sustain that.
No, these are not yearly. Let us see when this ends. So this ends in the 1st of August, and
Okay.
these APRs are yearly APRs.
And
So
there's
if
also
you
nothing staked yet. If somebody would stake, it would go down, the APR?
yes, but you can set a minimum APR with
Okay.
a appropriate formula. Because you can set the maximum amount of people, maximum amount of tokens that can be staked in this vault. You can also, determine that limit per people as well. So that is it. So let me
Cool.
come back to that diversification aspect before I go into more detail about the product. Okay, so As I said, the first point of diversification we value was user demographics. The second point is, in my opinion, the user type. What I mean by that is um, there is a very clear distinction between IDO participants and the DeFi users, even though they have a common set, as you can imagine. So what are these distinctions? They have different risk aversity. They have different investment horizons. They have different tendency to understand what we offer. And they have different, let me say, reaction to changes in the market. So what these differences are, basically, I can summarize as DeFi users are more likely to become your long-term holders. DeFi users are more likely to understand what value you offer, where IDO participants are more likely to sell whenever they can. And this is not a bad thing. This is just how different these two people are. And it is an important distinction. Without the IDO hype, projects wouldn't be able to, let me say, start their journey so easily as they do today, right? So I'm not stating this as a negative thing, but I'm stating these differences because creating exposure to both of these set of peoples is very important because of the conversion. To survive the first tier, projects have to convert people, their exposure, their hype, their DeFi or IDO people into long-term backers. And this conversion, DeFi tools help a lot in this conversion. So first of all, let me say that 50% of our users, not active users, but users that we have inherited from before, users that frequently visit, they belong to DeFi segment of our community and ecosystem. So 50% are IDO applicants and 50% are DeFi users. That is, of course, not an exact number, but I want to, that is a good way to express the daily frequency and exposure of people. However, the DeFi users, active stakers, it is, of course, larger than the Launchpad users on the IDO basis. So this the way that we offer DeFi exposure just by our community is a valuable asset as a Launchpad. But on the other hand, different than the saving on the spending part, the most major benefit of this part of this product for the newly listed projects and the established projects as well is that they get to share the diverse and combined DeFi exposure from all these projects that participate here. As I said, so we are building this to accommodate 100 projects by the end of the year, which means that by this structure, all of the participants here, when they open a new pool, they get to share the exposure from a much larger pool. So we all, TrustFi does, and all of the participants does, we all benefit from the growth of the place. And we also offer a very generous referral structure, revenue sharing plan for business to business introductions, so that our partners can benefit more from the platform itself. We offer 20% of the space creation and half of all the unstaking fees that we incur to those who refer as a part of the growth stage.
Have you ever considered, let's say, like a LunaPad would create a pool, and the yield is not LunaPad, but the yield is half stake, half LunaPad, stake half Communitas, and earn COM token? In that case, something like this, like a partner pool, something like that.
We do that, but in that the common denominator is TrustFi, of course.
Okay, of
but
course.
they could do that, yeah. So that is one of the ways we allow for conversion tools. I will talk about that a bit. So as I said, I think the most important benefit this platform holds for anyone is that it allows you to share a very diverse set of DeFi users. For example, Sugar Kingdom, they are holding their initial farm offering right now using our farms, meaning that the participants are getting the governance tokens that will be listed 3 months from now. So there are a lot of ways to get benefit from this exposure, and we believe that as this platform grows, the partners will while we also nourish those new ways, because we We are in constant feedback interaction with the clients. We are constantly reworking to accommodate those feedback, accommodate new features that the larger the platform gets, it may need more. So let me talk a bit about, for example, one of the features that we're adding. So in the future, this space will be fully customizable as an optional plan, meaning that, for example, communities, of course, they would not be, they already have their staking technology and launchpad. However, they can still offer their brand experience fully using the space that they own in TrustFi Farmer. So that is one of the features that we're implementing. We will also make the pool creation much more flexible. So yeah, let me talk about how the pools are created, how it actually works. So this is what a space owner sees when they first create the space. And when they want to create a pool, they are presented with a 15 to 20 input form. So there is no need for coding. So there is no need for
So it's
development.
just entering fields, basically.
Yes, and this takes 1 minute after you get used to it. And after the form is done, the pool is immediately deployed into the blockchain with a countdown until the yield farming starts. So what flexibility we offer here is before the yield farming starts, during the countdown, the pool creator can edit or close the pool, taking back all of the reward pool they added or change some mistakes they did. But after the countdown ends, no one can interfere, meaning that this is fully automated and decentralized. TrustFi cannot interfere with that pool. Project owner cannot interfere with that pool. And this is one of the most important features, I think, both to take advantage of and to be aware of, because one of the clients weren't very keen on listening to our warnings. Before, I will not name them, of course, but we had a client that logged $100,000 here for a year. So that happens. So this is also why we have to constantly be in feedback interaction and constantly renew UI UX, because this is a new thing. The Web3 experience of DeFi, of course, there are many other service providers that provide not the same experience, not the same service, but some similar spirit. This is new, and we will be, we are looking to be, how can I say it? We are very excited to be leading in that part, especially with the NFT
I mean, if
staking
it's
pools.
fully automated as well, it is definitely interesting. But yeah, there are obviously the bottlenecks that you will
yeah, we will have to
get
optimize
to
a lot of
as you
possible
go along.
problems.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's only natural if you're pioneering something, and specifically something as new as DeFi, which, I mean, like, there's a tremendous amount of changes, I think, every week, every month, in terms of the latest things that work, things that don't work.
So this is the Launchpad calendar right now. It is missing 2 projects. We will release a new Launchpad calendar in 2 days. So I opened this to show that even though we have to follow the trends, that is sometimes a necessity. If you are not a top Launchpad, there is a demand that you have to fill. So we have to bring some move to earn projects, some play to earn projects, some social fi projects as demanded by the market trends. However, when we do that, our priority is DeFi builders. Our priority is people who actually implement these products in a meaningful way. Because as you know, there are thousands of GameFi products out there that are just producing tokens to get money. Because there needs to be a valuable reason why you are funding on crypto, right? So that is our priority. We are looking for meaningful products that actually offer value. We also offer meaningful connections to any of our IDO applicants, meaning that even if I'm not interested, even if we are not interested in taking an applicant as an IDO partner, we offer them a lot of connections. Because of the exact reason I said, it is very hard to find your way right now in the market, because most of people are not listening. The market trend is down. People are not frequenting the channels they were frequenting. But also it is, by such meaningful introductions, it is easier to get past that noise, that fog I was talking about. So
Yeah,
that is
no,
why.
definitely that makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
I mean, when the coins go down, the market goes silent, right? There's some initial stage of panic. But
Yes,
let me ask you one thing on this calendar, right? Because
of
it's
course.
at least good to see that you guys are still launching projects. I think that's quite
Mhm.
important, even on the smaller races. What do you reckon the average ticket size, the average total pool size is, like 20,000 on these pools?
For these projects, Wingstep at 50K, Movan has 30K, Shark
All right.
Race has 20K, and it is a private round sale. Iconic, we
All
have
right.
30K in total for both IDO and private sales. Land, it is flexible right now for OMI and Chirplay as well. So what we do is, you heard me say the word flexible a lot in this meeting. So in this as well, we keep the ticket size flexible because we like to provide a lot of leeway, the most we can to the projects, to the IDO applicants, because having more flexibility and more leeway in negotiations, in planning, never cuts from the possibility of success. It contributes to it.
Sure.
And
But when you
as a,
say leeway, do
yes,
you mean like it could be as small as 20K and as big as 100K, something like this?
we wouldn't support the 100K idea right now.
Okay.
I mean, I would be strongly against it. But 4 months ago, we were able to raise those amounts. So the ticket size is very, very volatile. That is why we like to keep it flexible, because it is a large expectations of many projects. They go to some launchpads expecting that they have large ticket sizes. We like to capitalize on diversification, connections, networking, infrastructure, and other unique benefits that we have. So that is also why we can get some of these projects that you see uh, will be hosting IDOs in some launchpads that are a bit higher than us in terms of the food chain, like BaaS Station, Beanstarter. These projects basically choose us because we offer very less risk. We have a lot of media partnerships that create organic exposure. We offer good infrastructure opportunities. We offer a lot of networking, and we, as I said, do not risk a failure in the fundraise. I think which is something
Right.
very
They're
important.
very important, definitely.
And I see a lot of launchpads bluff about their fundraising potential, which it harms all of the launchpad industry. It does. So that is why we like to be clean about that. And I can say that it is fruitful for now, as you
Yeah, I
said.
mean, it makes sense. I think you can never overplay your hand that way because
Yes.
reputation, it takes a long time to build and easily
Mhm.
destroyed. But that's people. That's why I said in the beginning, you sound like, I don't know you, right? We haven't never spoken before, but you sound
Yes.
like somebody that has thorough thoughts, and that's how I think, right? So when
Yes.
I analyze launchpads, we recently did on YouTube. We started a series called Launchpad School, where we basically crack down certain launchpads in terms of all the mistakes they've made,
Mhm.
offering crazy staking APYs, trying to lock up tokens. If the value goes down, the value goes down, and you're usually too late, to fix it. But
Yes.
when you say like, oh, we look at 20K raises, a lot of people might say like, oh, but my allocation will be very small, right? But if we would give you a big allocation, you won't fill it. So either way, some people are never happy, right? And it's like, should be the expertise of the launchpad to decide which way things should go because that's their expertise. If you would look at your current transition, right? So now we're looking at the June-July calendar. How many participants do you think such a move to earn project would pull on TrustFi?
Okay, a hyped small term project right now can pull 200 people. That is the top for us right now. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And what was that like, let's say 6 months ago in like February,
6 months
January?
ago, when I first joined, I was an
Yeah.
investor in TrustFi before too. I can say that any project would get 500, 600 people easy. And that was because not that projects were better, but because people had a different sense of risk.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
And
like
yeah,
the fear and greed index does point us in the right direction on that one.
so people
Yeah.
would just throw money to any projects that were doing IDO as a risk, as a justified risk, I must say. So that is an important nuance. At that time, people saw these IDOs as a justified risk, but right now it is very different. So that
What do
is
you
why,
think would happen if the market reverses, whenever that might happen? Do you think that same pattern will come back, or do you think that people would have learned from the bearish pattern?
Well, some people learn, but then the bear market brings a lot of new people, and then the cycle repeats, right? But
Yep.
of course, as the market gets older and more mature, there will be more regulatory bodies, even though it is against what most people want in DeFi. The transition sometimes requires regulation. I mean, it won't come down to my opinion anyways. So I think that is how it will work out. So it will be a safer market in the future, because I mean, let's agree, we can all be DeFi romantics all day. We can support no regulation, no interference, in fully, decentralized markets. However, in the end, if it hurts people, these ideals in the end, if they hurt people during the, during the first stages, then what is the benefit, right? In my opinion, it is always better to, prioritize people, prioritize culture, prioritize how we do things, the structure, than where we are trying to get at. But
Yeah,
that is a very personal.
I think through the process, when you want to build something great, you'll have to make some sacrifices along the way, and specifically with these IDOs, they're now being fine-tuned, like security protocols and stuff. But investors must get burned to learn, because most people learn the hard way, right?
So, yeah,
I think that's also like interesting.
Since I have education in finance and business management, I studied a lot of market manipulation cases, and even my master's thesis was on market manipulation on Turkey. And what I see is, I mean, I have a bias towards non-regulated markets, but of course that is not affecting in any way how TrustFi works. But because of that bias, I expect there to be a more regulated crypto markets in the future, and I expect that to change the IDO landscape and change change how new people are introduced. But IDO landscape is dynamic anyways. I mean,
yeah, I mean, there's pros and
yeah.
cons to each step of the process, right? Like how it is right now. And
Yes.
but let's not stop too much. I don't want to take too much time. We have 10 minutes. So let's head over to the next topic, because I assume there is more to discover.
All right. So where did we left actually?
We did the
quite
fonts, we did the pad, we did the tiers, then we spoke about the calendar. The calendar is where we basically left off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So to this calendar right now, I mean, even though these are all to be announced by date-wise, I mean, I think most of us understand why that is. Projects do not want to hold listing right now unless they're forced to, because these, for example, Iconic, these guys have been working on this project for a year, and they want the best possible listing conditions. Because, I mean, normally, let's say fundraising wouldn't be so dependent on market conditions, right? Because we are creating a product, and that product, if that value is not trend-based, it will be used, and the fundraising will be okay. At least in the traditional markets, it is not such a large issue, concern. However, in here, the problem is that the most effective marketing a project can ever get is good listing performance. You can, let's say you spend $10,000 on marketing, any kind of marketing. The amount of exposure you would get is nowhere near the case where you spend $10,000 in the IDO for market making. That is my experience. That is why I see in the market. So I understand fully why these projects want to extend the wait, because they will ultimately be remembered with the TG performance. This is also an unfortunate nuance, but it is true. And the good projects, I mean, if the product is live, the good projects, the most effective strategy that I've seen being done right now is to make your product go live, let people use it without the payment structure, and then you can have a large and organic community when you will do the listing in the future. So of course, not every project can support this idea because of the business structure. However, sometimes, for example, DeFi Yield was one. They opened their DeFi suite to user usage. However, they will still, delay the token listing. It is a weird time for IDOs right now. It really is. Right now, all you can see is move to earn projects launching.
Living
So,
off the
yeah,
step and hype.
yes. And the problem is, I mean, I talk too pessimistically in this talk, but please don't end up with the idea that I expect bad things for the market and the TrustFi LaunchPad as a whole. Just stating some points of interest that I might have seen, and our attendees right now might not have, because I'm in the kitchen of the business. And that is why I think even if it's negative, if a detail is important, I like to mention it.
No, I think it's important because the most often is everybody can see the good stuff that's happening, right? And people get, I think, delusional sometimes. The main principle, investment carries risk. People focus too much on the gain and not much on the risk,
Yes.
right? And I think you highlighted that quite well. But you're close to the source, right, as well.
Yes. So we deal with a lot of deal flow during the day. We meet with a lot of projects. We talk with a lot of projects. We see what they're building or what they say they are building. The
So you
bluffing.
see a lot of trash every day.
I wouldn't call that, but yeah, yes, that is true. But that is
I
how the
stopped taking
business
these
works.
calls. I let the other guys take the calls. It's just I take the second calls. The first calls is just a waste of my time usually.
Yeah, sounds great. We do preliminary reviews internally, but not through a call. And then I like to meet if we see value in our part. That is how it works. So with the move to earns, we see a lot of rush. We see that unique value is hard to find. So what I advise people to do is please do not invest in a project just because they are launching in a good launchpad. That is one of the most frequent mistakes that I've seen people make lately. And this behavior also drives our deal flow in a weird way too, because sometimes there is a project that you do not trust. However, all of your competitors took it. And there is this huge demand from the community. Why aren't you taking them? Why aren't we able to participate, right? So we try to minimize that risk by trying to provide more awareness. And in that regard, we have started a small DeFi crash course series, and which is written by my assistant Astrid. And I will also start very soon an investment strategy series where I will talk about, as written posts, talk about some biases, some basic biases investors have that they may not have knowledge of, how we can counter these biases, how is statistics used in risk measurement, very basic stuff. Because I mean, in my education, I took 6 years of statistics, and let me say that what I saw was it should be taught in all schools. Like it should be taught in high school, it should be taught in middle school, because it is such a great way to counter our own biases. It's such a great way to measure reality, measure what we experience, and they have some magical tools to do it. So what I see is because people are only exposed to statistics if their college degree is related to it. These biases, these ways to optimize investment strategies, they should be shared much more. They should be propagated much more, in my opinion, because the value of statistics, just like economics, it is such an unintuitive thing. Before you take the actual class, you don't see any value in it. It even sounds silly, some
It's more of
concepts.
like an in practice kind of thing. But I think that I don't want to go into the conspiracy stuff, but if you would teach the valuable knowledge assets to the masses, then either they won't pick it up or the knowledge is wasted on those that do not
Yes.
appreciate it.
Yes, but I also think that it is the duty of the governments right now to financially educate their people, because otherwise they're just sending them to a sea full of sharks, because there is no way we can counter the potential frauds. It is best to educate people, but they may not be interested in it, as you said. So that's
Exactly.
another thing. Yeah.
Perhaps
So,
for a different time.
but governments, in my opinion, let's not change the topic, but I think they do not know what to do as well, because internet, blockchain, these are very new in our history. We never had such technologies. We never had such connections with each other. We never
Yeah.
had such ways to, alter the central authority. So now,
They might be watching from the sidelines and just make the move when is the right time to make the move. You know, some bridges get burned, some people get burned, but like they don't
I
want to be too hesitant, but also never too quickly to
I
anticipate,
am
right?
I am more of a corp conspiracist rather than state conspiracist. I think those are the guys that know what they're doing, and the states, poor states. I think. I mean, this is of course an exaggeration, but in the history, what you do in a government is 80% the most important source of what to do. Your strategy is what others do and what you did in the past, right? The past scenarios are great to take advantage and lesson from. However, internet and blockchain, there is no precedent. So they do not have this standard protocol to protect whatever that is a state would love to protect in terms of sustainability, in terms of authority and whatever. But let's not
That sounds like
diverge
a
too much.
conspiracy.
Let's not diverge too much from it.
We're almost out of time, Robert. You
Yes.
have anything you would like to add to your because your walkthrough was very thorough, the launchpad very clear, the farms very clear. Anything else you would like to add? Whereas like if you have a final message for the people watching, it's like this is what they don't shouldn't miss.
Mhm. So let me think about it if I missed anything or not. So I would suggest following the news about TrustFi Farmer, even if you do not think of investing in it, because as I said, we are proposing some very very innovative products, and it wouldn't hurt to take let an eye sit on it, because I think it has some great potential. Other than that, I think I have covered everything and I have nothing to add. And we are also very excited to host you for an AMA in our own community as well. Wanted to say
Awesome.
that as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Robert. I appreciate your time. I will make sure the TrustFi links are down in the description below. If you guys have any questions on TrustFi, make sure to post them and then we'll pick them up. Robert, I'm sure we'll speak again in the future here
Yes,
in the Digits Club. You are a very knowledgeable man. And again,
thank you.
I appreciate your being here today. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Likewise, thank you for your time as well,
Thanks.
and everyone else who has attended. See you later.
Perfect. Cheers. Have a good one.